It had been thought that the narrow streets of the city might prove alarming for the horses, and there was one that bolted, brushing aside a police horse in its gallop. The rider, who returned moments later without his hat, was much applauded for regaining control of the horse. But for the police, it recalled the peaceful great occasions of the past, sharing with the public in a truly national event. So much so that the police thanked the public tonight for making the only memory that will stay with them as one of joy.
Millions of people around the world waited for their first glimpse of the best-kept secret in Britain, the Princess of Wales's wedding dress. But the dressmakers in the East End of London were the most anxious of all. They wanted to see the dress, to copy it, and then try to get replicas on sale in London right away. Tony Skase reports.
Dressmaker Mrs. Rose Joseph sketched her replica of the royal wedding dress from television pictures. Within 20 minutes, Mrs. Joseph, who's been making wedding dresses for 30 years, was ready for production. Working fast, she cut the papered patterns and picked her materials. Fortunately for her, the firm had a stock of ivory artificial silk taffeta. A team of 25 prepared the decorative hand-beaded lace. The dress, intended for any girl who wants to look like a princess, wasn't an exact copy. The train was shortened to 6 feet. After 4.5 hours of non-stop effort and the use of 35 meters of material, the dress was ready for delivery. Within minutes, it was being modelled in the window of an Oxford Street store. The price, £439. The manufacturers describe demand as fantastic and say they've already had orders from 100 shops. And just how much is it like the real thing?
Throughout the length and breadth of the United Kingdom, people have been celebrating, at home, in front of their television sets, or out in the streets. And nowhere more so than in Wales, where there's a special reason for happiness, as David Williams explains.
Wales has a new princess, and the people of Splot in Cardiff needed only official confirmation. But at the crucial moment, the television pay meter ran out.
Now is the 50th tally's going to go. Hang on.
50 pence saved the royal wedding. In Carnarvon, where the prince was invested, there were no such problems. The world's biggest television screen worked perfectly, conveying just the right pictures. The Rhondda Valley celebrated as only the valleys can, in song.
In Scotland, streets throughout the country were deserted while everyone watched the wedding on television. But once the pageantry was over, out came the tables, the chairs, the food and the drink for the toast to the royal couple. The bright sunshine was too much for the families in this Glasgow street, who started celebrating even before the wedding was over. But they made up for the spectacle they missed with their own action replay. But not everyone in Scotland had such a good time.
Parts of Northern Ireland celebrated. There were some Catholics among these pensioners in the Shankill Road, but not many. In a part of the United Kingdom where loyal has a strong political meaning, most Catholics left it alone. The bands, the bunting and the street parties were for the Protestants. The organisers said they wanted to give the youngsters some fun to remember, and the opportunity to guzzle lemonade in the middle of the road was, they thought, likely to leave happier memories than any more elaborate festival.
In the Republic of Ireland, the ceremony was blacked out for thousands around Dublin when the cable television links were cut by saboteurs, although the rest of the country wasn't affected. There were also 2 H-block demonstrations during the ceremony, one in London, the other in Leeds, but both were almost totally ignored by people who, like countless millions throughout the world, were absolutely intent on the wedding. Pope John Paul, recovering in hospital in Rome, sent a message of congratulations and blessings to Prince Charles and his new wife, while in Washington, President Reagan watched some of the saturation coverage of the ceremony and said he thought it was beautiful. But in the communist world, especially the Soviet Union and China, there's been virtually no coverage of the event. In Moscow, people on the streets, when asked about it, replied, "What wedding?" Now for the rest of today's news. With two of the May's prison hunger strikers thought to be near death, leading Republicans tonight paid a special visit to the prison. The visitors told the hunger strikers they could all be dead soon, so there'd be no recriminations if they decided to call off their fast. The prisoners replied they wanted to continue their hunger strike until the British government met in a common-sense manner with their demands. Among the visitors were Owen Carron, who was Bobby Sands' election agent, and Gerry Adams, the vice president of Sinn Féin. The Northern Ireland office says it arranged the visit at the request of some of the 8 prisoners on hunger strike. The death of 22-year-old David Moore, who was hit by a police vehicle in Liverpool last night, is to be investigated by a top policeman from Northumbria. The incident, which sparked off more riots in Toxteth, will be the subject of an inquiry by an assistant chief constable. Police Land Rovers were driven through the streets at high speed in an attempt to disperse the rioters. Merseyside's chief constable, Mr. Kenneth Oxford, said he was still in favour of these tactics despite David Moore's death. He said they were more effective than CS gas. Most of British Steel's proposed subsidy of £550 million from the government has been temporarily suspended by the EEC Commission. An EEC rule says grants should be for increasing efficiency, not shoring firms up. Now, today's foreign news, and there's been more rioting in New Zealand in protest at the South African rugby tour. The latest match at New Plymouth passed quietly, with the Springboks beating Taranaki easily. But there was a demonstration in Auckland and even worse trouble in Wellington. From there, Jim Biddulph reports.
Between 2,000 and 3,000 people marched on the Parliament buildings here in Wellington to protest against the continuation of the Springbok tour. It had all started off peacefully enough, but the mood totally changed when the demonstrators decided to move towards the house of the South African Consul General.
You better move out, will you? Move round.
Protesters claimed that 30 people were injured by police batons. Further mass protests are expected on Friday and Saturday. Jim Biddulph, BBC, New Zealand.
Tonight, there are stringent security measures at the house in Paris where the deposed Iranian President Bani Sadr is staying. He made a secret overnight flight from Tehran in a military plane, which the Iranians say was hijacked. Mr. Bani Sadr has been granted political exile in France, where he lived in exile from the former Shah of Iran. He's promised to take no part in political activity, but the Iranians have already asked for him to be extradited. In Iran itself, after an earthquake in Kerman, the bodies of 800 victims have been recovered and the search is going on for more. It's feared the final number could be 4,000. Only a month ago, 1,000 people died in an earthquake in the same area. A Syrian fighter has been shot down by Israeli jets near Beirut. The air battle came a day after the Syrians threatened to stop Israeli reconnaissance flights. The Syrians say these are a violation of the 6-day-old ceasefire in South Lebanon. And finally, at the end of a right royal day, we leave the last word to some of the people who've been watching and joining in those spectacular celebrations.
I think the country needs something like this to get them out of the depression. I think this will do it. It'll make them all happy, at least for one day.
I'm going to remember every part of it from start to finish.
And our own Queen was marvellous.
Oh, yes.
And the Queen
You could
Mother.
love her.
I like them all. I love the royal family. I love them all. Love to see them. I don't see enough of them on TV.
Yes, really, fairy tale wedding.
Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, she's absolutely out of this world. Mine too is lovely. Oh, my name.
What do you think?
Good evening.